I think a lot of people approach e-commerce, particularly on Amazon, if they've heard about private label opportunity, and they're really focused on the product and the tweaking they can do to sort of get a rank in a category. I really encourage people to step away from that and instead focus on a niche and creating a brand for a niche. And by identifying the people in your niche, and it could be a friend who has catfish fishermen as his niche. In our space, obviously, it's doll clothes, seamstress, clothing makers, and they want sewing content. I run another business, and it's gardening people who are interested in heirloom gardening. So find a niche and really get clear on what is available product-wise in that niche, and then what you could add to the party. Now, that party could include physical product. Of course, private label comes to mind. But the other thing that you can immediately do then, once you've got clarity on the niche, is think about what information they want. What books do they read? What magazines at the bookstore are available to these people? Go look at the magazines and see what content is out there. And then what you've got then is an opportunity to create digital products in association with that niche. Maybe it's a how-to guide. Maybe it's an ebook that's a comprehensive overview. Maybe it's a skills-based technique that you can teach through just a simple PDF. But then you've got an opportunity to layer in digital goods as well as physical goods and use those as what you might call an integrated product suite. So you've got a spectrum of products from free to low cost to mid-range to high-priced, all focused on one ideal customer. And that customer is going to bond with you because you're treating them special. A lot of these niches around the internet have no one who's really, really got things dialed in for them. You'd be surprised. You go to some niches and you can see the websites. They were made in the 90s, and no one's really respecting these people. No one's built something that really motivates them. And that's the opportunity for the long term for e-commerce sellers, in my opinion. And it is agnostic in terms of the platform. That could happen with Shopify. That could happen with Amazon or eBay or Etsy. But really what you want to do is identify that core group in your niche and really serve them well with a range of products.
Are big brands actually doing any of these tactics type of things that we're talking about, or they're just focusing on fundamentals? How does it go in there on their level?
Yeah, it's that's part of the reason why they hire us is because they are looking for kind of how can we get more into like the details and such, because we are doing kind of just the bare basics. A lot of times it's not them selling on Amazon. Other people have been selling their stuff for the last decade. And so we have to go in and clean up a lot of listings, and they have duplicates of a lot of their listings. And so a lot of it is just organizing and getting everything systemized and clean so everyone's happy at headquarters. Because say they do $20 million on Amazon, but they do $2 billion off of Amazon. So Amazon is, say, 0.1% of their sales. So they just want their products to look pretty on Amazon so their brand isn't dragged through the mud. They don't really care if sales go up from 20 million to 22 million. That's 2 million. What's that? And so they're more worried about kind of merchandising, making sure everything looks uniform, everything looks beautiful. And then they're worried about, okay, are sales growing, and can we work with you guys moving forward kind of to help us run and make things as smooth as possible? And so they're thinking more from that point of view opposed to kind of the individual seller's point of view. A lot of times too, they're looking for stuff where it's like, okay, I need these numbers pulled and we want to hit these metrics because then my boss will be happy with me. And so they're not worried about the whole entire business as a whole of, okay, is this the best marketing plan for this entire multi-billion-dollar company, or is this what's best for me to make my boss happy? And those are the kind of things you always have to balance out.
In my experience, it's funny because I worked for a lot of big brands too, big diet pill brands, a lot of Korean beauty brands, and they already had their products. So they came in with the mindset, hey, we're kind of a popular brand in Korea or another country. Our product is worth more. We're going to crush the market. And I told them that is not how Amazon works. Yeah, your brand is important. And maybe in the Korean community, it's important. But on Amazon, people don't know your brand from, somebody who started a brand in their garage. Like they would literally have no idea the difference if they don't know about K-beauty or Korean beauty. So the biggest thing is educating people that it's not, if people don't know about your brand, you're going to have a tough time really scaling your business because you've got to create that demand. You've got to convince customers, hey, why am I having to pay more for this? You know, maybe it is higher quality. Yeah, their product probably, their beauty mask or face mask or facial toner or whatever. I don't know much about those kind of things, but whatever they were selling, it probably was better than most things on Amazon. But just because it's better, guess what? That doesn't mean anything. If nobody's going to buy it, nobody's going to leave you the reviews. You're not showing up on the search terms. So that is one of the biggest, I would say, I don't know, failings or struggles that they had, is understanding like, hey, wait a minute. We paid you to promote this to page 1, and I did it. You know, I can get anything at page 1. You give me this pen, I can put it on page 1 of Garcinia Cambogia if you want me to. But guess what? After 1 day or 2 days, it's going to go away. Why? Because nobody's going to click on it, and nobody's going to buy it, because who wants a pen when they're searching for Garcinia Cambogia? But the same thing for a lot of their products. I was like, I don't know if you really want to put money into this keyword. They're like, no. Our product is the best Garcinia Cambogia, the best whatever. And I would get it there, and it would fall off. Why? People see it, they're not clicking on it, they're not buying it, because there's nothing really that justified like their price, or it only had like 3 or 4 reviews. They didn't really understand how Amazon worked.
No, there's no brand here. The only reason why you would have a brand is so that you have a bit of protection on Amazon, and Amazon requires you to have a brand here. Because let's really think about it. Now, there's people out there that do create a brand for certain things, and they have great success with it. And they're going to start it off online and then maybe move it offline or on the Shopify site or take it into wholesale. And that's great if you've got a category that really suits that. Like, say, for example, men's hygiene with beards, right? That's a great category. A lot of people have done brands on that because it's very niche, it's very focused, it can be advertised. But whenever we're looking at boring products, we got to remember that our products are boring, and therefore we never want to create a brand, because our brand would have no connection to each other, and therefore we're never creating a brand. That's not what we would do in this methodology.
You need to develop a brand. And so this is classic, going way back to the original marketers and the big, thick marketing books, by the head of the big agencies in New York City. And so the idea is, if you create a brand around something that's near and dear to your heart, that's sustainable for you, what will happen is 2 things. One is your energy and enthusiasm will become contagious to the people that you're trying to sell to. And secondly is that the audience will see a theme and know that all of your products are related to that theme. So let me just make the point with a couple of examples. Let's say that you are into health and nutrition. So you might create a brand of nutritional supplements, that feed a broad area around your area of interest. Or if it's gluten-free eating or vegan eating, you might develop a brand around that. If you're a real pet person, you might create a series of products, around pet brands, kitchen brands, on and on and on. But if you just throw up a hodgepodge of products, you'll find it very difficult to create an avatar or a niche to market to, and you'll lose interest. And so that, I think, is the most important thing that I would say.
I've been fortunate that most of the products that I've directly sold myself, I've been able to compete on price, and so just being cheaper has gotten me the buy box. But I represent about $50 million a year in online sales as a CFO, and we have been very effective at using a multi-pronged approach. So what we want to do is have a strong brand where the story really connects to the consumer, and we want to support that brand through off Amazon pay-per-click traffic and on Amazon pay-per-click traffic. And if we're sending people to pages that aren't optimized, we're wasting our time and our money. And so we always optimize listings, optimize photos, optimize videos before we start sending traffic to it. Because, and even before that, by the way, if you have cruddy products, it only takes a few really bad reviews to put an influencer on Amazon or a SKU on another platform to put you out of business. And
something I think about all the time, and I continue to think about, how does Louis Vuitton get away with selling a belt for $2,000? What did they do over the last 100 years to put their logo in the right places and put it in the right position where people think it's worth that much more than a Nike logo? And that's the kind of stuff I wonder about all the time. I don't understand how it really works. I still am kind of agnostic to brands for the most part. I'm still kind of just price to quality ratio. And so, yeah, I agree with you. A lot of private label brands, go ask any major city in the world, London, New York, wherever, go ask 10,000 people in a row if they've ever heard of your brand. They're all going to say no. And it's like, okay, you don't really have a brand here. The only reason you have a brand is so people don't sell on your listing. It's not to engage the customer. And that's the number one problem right off the bat. You have that brand and you created that packaging to hopefully drive sales and look a little bit different than the Amazon listings around you. And so no one jumps on your listing. You did not create the packaging because you thought the customers would like it. You did not create the packaging because it told you a brand's message. You did it for very Amazon specific reasons. And I think that's what holds back a lot of private label brands from taking that next step to actually being like a quote unquote legitimate brand.
To grow an e-commerce business is to focus on the product in first place and not on marketing, because getting into an increasingly competitive market as the Amazon space will always bring the need to get away from your competition. So what I saw is that there are some manufacturers who managed to stand out from all those products through many years, and they focused on the product instead of the marketing. And I saw that there were some listings that don't even have any bullet points or product description, and are still outperforming all the competitors. So this would be my number one advice, to have a completely different approach.
Things that are going to drive quick sales, I have not found success in. So one of the questions that you've asked is, where have you tried and failed, or what have you learned from? There's as we all know, there's so many different methods out there and ideas and ways that people are suggesting to drive quick sales. And what I have found is that you can drive quick sales, but it's very costly. It's not profitable, and there's no long tail, meaning it's not going to help you in the long term. What I have found over the past 2 years is that if you focus on building your brand and building quality products, and then working on growing a customer base long term, and making sure that you're putting marketing materials out there that help customers make good decisions about your products, you will build a loyal customer base. You'll have less returns. And then you can actually grow your brand through building additional products and variations that way. So the things that we do, like building videos and infographics, are to help educate our customers and show them how our products are better than other products and why. But they're also about helping them solve a problem. And then once they purchase our products, we're very focused on making sure that our customers are happy. And if they're not, we'll do whatever it takes to make it right for them. So we definitely have found a lot more success with the long-term strategy versus the quick, discount your product 90%, get a whole bunch of sales, in the first couple days, and then you take your price point up and you're back to very few sales. So we have not found success with doing that, and we've taken the approach of growing over the long term. And I've found that it takes a little bit longer, but it's more profitable in the long run.
Some of our customers have a very brand-driven business, so they put the name of their business, the name of their products, let's say, more in front than other customers. And so they, for example, in their emails that they send to customer, they are using a specific language. Maybe they're not only sounding like a business, but sometimes sounding like a friend, or just having a more friendly approach to the whole thing that they're buying from them. And we know that Amazon is making this less easy to do. But at the same time, if you manage to do it with the right customer service tool, or with the right logo, or simply, or giving a big brand identity, it can actually help. And we noticed that some of our big customer in the US that are selling their own products on private labels, they actually managed to have a brand identity. And we know on Amazon is not easy, but it worked for them. And it's because they did this in every single phase of their business, of managing their business.
I think that branding is number one. So if you're not having a great branding, if you're not having the idea of who you want to sell and to fix your product around this, if you want to call it demographic, or if you want to call it, I don't know, category or something, there's no way for me that you can succeed.